You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor. Subscribe to the channel. Leave your comments below. And be sure to smash that like button. This is one of the wildest stories I can ever remember in my time covering LSU. And full disclosure, I have no idea whatsoever if Tre Bradford is going to amount to anything at all. And I'm not sure that I really care. I mean, I want the best for the kid, don't misunderstand me. But this is just fascinating. Tre Bradford has now joined the LSU football program for the third time. Let me rewind the clock and remind you how all of this went down. This is a wild story. And we have seen in the past stories where a player signs, they maybe go the JUCO route and come back. Stetson Bennett did that at Georgia. He was at Georgia, left, went the JUCO route, came back to Georgia. Like, we see that. Guys sign, they don't make grades, and they sign a second time. That happens. It is so rare to see this, what has happened with Tre Bradford, who now is rejoining the LSU football program. Go in the Wayback Machine with me, okay? When Tre Bradford was a high school recruit in the class of 2020, he signs with LSU and shows up. By the way, here's what Ed Ogeron said, talking about Tre Bradford's talent back in 2020.
You know, Tre could even be a slot receiver. He's that talented. I talked to him a little bit, maybe playing running back, maybe playing some receiver, and he's open to it. So it may be something that we can do with him in the future.
3-star out of Texas. As a prospect was, a 4-star as a prospect. He's a 3-star transfer. A 4-star prospect, the number 160 overall player in the country, the 13th best running back in the country, and he was notable, remember, as a receiver. That was really his niche, he was a really good pass catcher out of the backfield that they thought they might even be able to use him as a receiver, as a wide receiver, slot guy, not just as a running back. Anyway, okay. So Bradford shows up in 2020, and he doesn't get on the field. After the COVID year in 2020, Tre Bradford leaves and transfers to Oklahoma. Before ever playing a game for Oklahoma, he announces he's coming back to LSU for the 2021 season. I'll remind you, LSU had to get a waiver from the NCAA for him to be eligible because he left LSU, went and enrolled in Oklahoma, left and came back. Here was Ogeron back before the 2021 season when they brought Bradford back. Again, the second time Bradford has now joined LSU.
You know, it's like family. We welcome him back. You know, the guy made a decision to go, and, you know, we told him, man, listen, if you go there and wherever you're going, if it doesn't work out, you want to come back, you got a home here. Tre's an excellent young man. We love him. I'm sure his teammates are going to welcome him back. He was all smiles yesterday. So it's no big deal for us. But, again, Jock, you mentioned it is the lay of the land. Maybe 20 years ago that might have been different, but it's not different today.
So, Bradford, again, played 5 games during the COVID year, leaves LSU for Oklahoma, never plays at Oklahoma, comes back in 2021. They get the waiver, and he plays in 1 game. He played in 1 game in 2021. It was the Texas A&M game, and he had he had 2 rushing attempts for 11 yards in that game. That was it. Played in the 1 game in 2021. So we know what happens. Ed Ogeron gets fired, and they hire Brian Kelly. And Tre Bradford goes through spring in 2022. He's going to be on the team, on Brian Kelly's first LSU team. Goes through spring. You get to August. August the 4th of this last year, before the 2022 season. August the 4th, Tre Bradford, gone. No longer with the team. A day later, here's what Brian Kelly said.
Yeah, Tre has been separated from the university, and that's, there are Buckley, laws that I can't get into specifics there, but he is no longer on the roster.
Separated from the university. There are laws I can't get into. That sounded very serious, didn't it? I mean, that's not, hey, look, the kid's leaving the program to go seek a better opportunity, hitting the transfer portal. He's been separated from the university. Now, back in 2020, Tre Bradford was arrested for shoplifting, and the charges were dropped. They said it was a misunderstanding. Whatever. Okay, it's Baton Rouge. It's a college town. He's a running back. Things happen. Whatever. Okay. I'm not here to dismiss it or anything like that, but it's what it is. So Bradford, August, 10 months ago, is separated from the university. Does not play football in 2022. Has not been in a game since the 2021 Texas A&M game, the game I referenced, where he had 2 rushing attempts. Has not seen a football game since the A&M game in 2021. But now, today, we learn Bradford is back with the LSU team. That's like Brokeback Mountain. I wish I knew how to quit you. Dude just cannot quit LSU. It's incredible. This is his 3rd time coming back to LSU. God bless. LSU's a great place. It's my alma mater. I love it. Maybe he does too. Maybe he loves the water. Maybe he wants one of those cool first-class airplane pods in the locker room. Maybe he just loves Chef Michael Johnson and the food he's whipping up. Maybe he loves Brian Kelly or just wants to make it real, make a dream come true of running out through those the goalposts in Tiger Stadium and playing in a big-time game and atmosphere in that stadium and playing on a team that's got a chance to win a natty. But I don't know. I don't know what it is, but Tre Bradford just cannot quit this football program, which is, in a way, kind of cool, but one of the most bizarre things you can remember. And, man, there was a time, you just don't see this in college football. It's rare that you see it in the NFL, and there's 2 other things about this, but, I remember Jordan Matthews, the receiver from Vanderbilt? Remember Jordan Matthews, who was the receiver there under James Franklin with Jordan Rodgers? Jordan Matthews had 3 stints with the Philadelphia Eagles. He was drafted by the Eagles, left for a couple of years, went to the Bills, the Patriots, and came back to Philly, then left again, went to the Niners, and then was back in Philly. So he had 3 different stints with the Eagles. That happens, but sometimes, there's transactions where, look, Mark Ingram, of course, was drafted by the Saints, left, came back. And we see that sometimes where, Malcolm Jenkins, drafted by the Saints, went to Philly, the Saints ultimately bring him back. That happens. I mean, we do see that in the NFL. 3 times in college, it's just bizarre. I don't know that I've ever seen this. And remember, the other odd part about this story is when Tre Bradford went to Oklahoma. So he played the 2020 season at LSU, leaves, goes to Oklahoma. And before he ever plays at Oklahoma, comes back to LSU. Tre Bradford's dad, do you remember this? Tre Bradford's dad went on an Oklahoma fan site message board and basically apologized to Oklahoma fans. He was like, this is not my decision. He wanted his son to stay at Oklahoma. So, he was out there almost, in a way, kind of blasting his son for leaving Oklahoma to go back to LSU. Bizarre, such a bizarre story. Now, look, I have no idea. On the field, I have no idea how, where, why Bradford fits in. Okay? He's a very good player. He's 6 feet tall, 206 pounds is where he's listed. Again, a fantastic pass catcher out of the backfield. But when you look at LSU and you got Noah Cain back for another year, Josh Williams back for another year, you just brought Logan Diggs out of the transfer portal from Notre Dame. John Emery, we're assuming, is going to be with the team, but you keep adding running backs. Maybe that's a faulty assumption. You added Logan Diggs, now you're bringing Tre Bradford back, and you just signed 2 running backs in this past class with Holly and Jackson, and all of a sudden you are really deep and crowded at running back. Maybe Tre Bradford gets on the field as a slot receiver. Maybe that's more where he factors in here as opposed to a running back. Maybe it's situational. He's classified as a redshirt sophomore. Remember, first year was COVID, so you basically, that year doesn't even count. So he's a redshirt sophomore. He's got 3 more years to play. It's incredibly. Bradford could be a guy who ends up playing from 2020 all the way through 2025. If he wanted to. He could ultimately have his career play out that way at LSU, provided he doesn't leave and then come back. But Tre Bradford, back at LSU again. I cannot wait to hear the explanation on this. Sincerely, wish him well, man. I tell you all the time, I want what's best for these young student athletes. I want what's best for everybody in life. And hopefully this path is one that has kept bringing him back to LSU, is one that he wants to see through. And maybe it's to get his degree. Maybe it's to realize a dream of playing at LSU and in Baton Rouge and Tiger Stadium for whatever the reason. It has been a long, winding, boomerang kind of path for Tre Bradford, but he's back for the third time now on Brian Kelly's football team. We'll see how it goes when the Tigers at the practice field coming up in August. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact, and be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.